Welcome to the Firewall Analyzer Free Training Part 2. I'm Nivedya, Subject Matter Expert in Enterprise Security Management, and I'll be the presenter for today. Before we start the session, let us look at what we are going to cover today. First, we need to look at why we need a log monitoring and why specifically Firewall Analyzer. Next, we'll look at some basics of Firewall Analyzer, and we'll also see the steps to fetch firewall logs and overview on the reports that are generated. After the report overview, we deep dive into the use cases on how to look at the various reports, such as the VPN reports, the traffic reports, security reports, custom reports, and search reports. Finally, we are going to cover how to set alarm notifications for various triggers. So let us address the pertinent question in hand: why log monitoring and why specifically Firewall Analyzer? The network and the network security landscape is rapidly changing today. To stay ahead of this change, security admins are working around the clock to install new network security devices like IDS, IPS, proxy, and VPN over and above the existing firewall. However, this hasn't deterred the cyber criminals, and they are finding new ways and different segments to attack every day. This raises a serious question in hand: does merely adding a multiple network security tool protect the network from the security breaches? Evidently not. You need a tool which monitors all your network security devices and periodically identifies external and internal threats on a real-time basis. Introducing Firewall Analyzer that helps in log analysis to generate in-depth log reports using which you can keep a track of security and traffic logs, alarm management, where it helps in notifying about the security and bandwidth anomalies in real time, and inventory reports that contains the details about each individual firewall devices and all their performance metrics. Rule management is where you can manage and optimize the firewall rules, identifying who made what change when and where, and also help in taking a configuration backup in case of a network disaster. And finally, the complaints management, that is identifying firewall misconfigurations without of the out of the box reports. Also, we are going to cover the following features in today's session, that is the log analysis, alarm management, and finally the inventory reports. The previous week, we already covered the rule management, where configure monitoring and complaints management capabilities of firewall analyzers were covered. And in case you have not participated in the previous session, I'll be sending a link containing the recording of the previous session, and you can have a look at it as well. So let us look at some of the basic installation and configuration requirements to fetch firewall logs into Firewall Analyzer. First, we install Firewall Analyzer, and the installation requirements will be shared with you, you can check it out directly from our website. And once you install the analyzer, Firewall Analyzer, next you need to fetch the firewall logs. And to set up the firewall logs, you need to configure your device to send the syslogs via the UDP port 1514. And in case you don't have the port 1514, an alternate free port needs to be selected. Once the Firewall Analyzer is installed, Firewall Analyzer must be directed to receive syslogs from the new port. Firewall Analyzer by default listens to syslogs forwarded at port 1514, and there are three ways to export syslogs to Firewall Analyzer. As mentioned before, the first way is to configure firewall device to forward syslogs in the port 1514, and the second way is to import these log files. And the manual device addition without the need of syslogs is also available. And once the syslogs are forwarded, Firewall Analyzer starts to generate various reports such as the security, VPN, and bandwidth reports. And not only that, you can also start triggering alarm notifications for various anomalies. Firewall Analyzer provides a wide range of reports. Here, VPN reports provide detailed VPN analysis, which helps you to pan the VPN bandwidth and capacity. The firewall reports are the combination of firewall security and traffic analytics. We have the dashboard and the inventory report, where these reports give a high level overview on the all firewall stats. The next is a proxy server report, where these reports are generated by analyzing the squid proxy servers. And if you want to customize the log reports, we also have custom reports where it can be same done using them. And finally, we have the search report where you can perform forensic log analysis. So these are the set of reports that you get using the firewall analyzer. Security management for a flexible network environment. Since the pandemic in 2020, the work environment, as we know, no longer exists. To cope up with that, companies have moved to a hybrid work landscape, which is a combination of work from a home and work from office. However, as a security admin, this poses a lot of security and bandwidth issues. In today's use cases, wherever applicable, we'll cover the security and the bandwidth management for your VPN infrastructure in detail. Those who attended the previous webinar, we would know who Jim is. And for people who have freshly joined the session, Jim is a security admin and his company has adopted a hybrid work approach. And let us look into the various security and bandwidth issues faced by Jim and how he uses Firewall Analyzer to overcome these issues. So the most organizations that we see today are moving towards a work culture where employees have a freedom to work from any place they want. For this environment to be successful, many organizations implement a dedicated virtual private network, that is the VPN. However, the very same VPN connections that enables employees to work from a remote location can also lead to a security lapse if not monitored, making VPN traffic monitoring one of the most important functions for any network security administrator. Firewall Analyzer generates in-depth VPN reports such as help identify the following. So with VPN usage, you can track the amount of traffic consumed by the VPN users. And with VPN connections, you can identify the number of users connected to your VPN. With VPN active sessions, you can monitor the active VPN user session and the bandwidth consumed. And with VPN trends, you can track the VPN consumption and the consumption trends. So let us look at how these reports look in the product UI. So under the reports tab, you click on the VPN report. So this is how a VPN report looks like. And here, as you saw, I choose all devices. And in case you need to analyze VPN metric for all the hosted VPN using a specific firewall, you can also select that specific firewall. However, currently I'm selecting all the devices that are there. And I'm also generating this report for the last 30 days. So these are the VPN reports that are available. So here we have the active VPN users. There we can view the current live sessions for all the VPNs in the firewall devices. And we have the VPN sessions here. And we have the top users of how many times that someone is connected to the VPN. And we have the VPN usage, the VPN status report, VPN overview, where what are the devices that are used to connect the VPN, and the VPN report in particular, and the VPN trend and active reports. So how do you cover each of these reports? I'll be covering each of them with specific use cases. So as a first task, Jim has been asked to identify which users are currently logged into VPN. This is especially useful to check if employees are logging into the company server and their activity status. Let us look at this can be done using Firewall Analyzer. So Jim has to identify all the active VPN users, and for that, under reports, you click the VPN and the active VPN users. And here you get a list of all the users that are currently active, and you can get further information like the assigned time, start time, duration, and the device through which the VPN was accessed. So with this, Jim has a clear understanding as to who has been logged in and who has been active, and also you can schedule this report to any management so that they will automatically receive this report and at a periodic interval. And once again, you can easily schedule the report and email the report directly to the management. You can schedule this repetitive action to automatically happen, say once every week or daily, as per your requirement. Or you can also export this in your desired format. So the second use case, say the management wants to know the complete VPN activity for all employees, both active and the completed sessions. And the also management wants this to be sent to them on weekly basis. So let's see how Jim does this using Firewall Analyzer. So under reports and VPN reports, we click on the VPN sessions where it will give you the list of all active sessions. And however, the VPN session will give you a list of active and also users whose session is completed. So this will give you a list of users who have accessed the VPN, and those who are marked in green are those who are still active, and the gray ones that you can see here are that have completed the session. You also get to know the duration of the time that has been connected to the VPN and what is the amount of bandwidth that someone has consumed. And once again, you get to know from which device the VPN has been accessed. So with this, let's say, for example, the management specifically wants to know how long that someone has been active and how much bandwidth someone has consumed during the VPN. You can use this report to submit and get them an answer. So the case 3 presents identify which employees access VPN the most and also find the usage rate. So now that the majority of the resources are joining the VPN report, VPN networks, it becomes extremely important to plan and allocate the bandwidth. Say if a single employee is hogging all the bandwidth, the same would slow down for other employees. Hence, as a third task, Jim has asked to identify more details on the VPN user activity and the connection trend. Also, he needs to schedule this report on a daily basis. So let's take a look how Jim does this using Firewall Analyzer. So let's take the top users under the VPN reports here, where you get a list of all the users and how many times they have been connected and how much bandwidth they have consumed and the duration in which they have consumed. So with this, Jim can get a clear understanding on the top users and how they are connected to the VPN and the bandwidth consumed by them. Once again, this report can be scheduled on a weekly and daily basis as well. So if you click our username, we can see the start time, the end time, the duration of it, and the total bandwidth consumed, along with the VPN, what VPN the network they have been using with the device, and the status of it as well. So this is the top users VPN report. Moving forward, let's see a case where you have to identify the active VPN connection count for a specific firewall. So if you look at it, Jim's fourth task is to identify the active VPN connection count for a specific firewall. And why does Jim's company need him to do this? So most devices offer limited number of VPN connections and the cost goes higher as the number of connections goes up. Hence, it is extremely critical to plan the VPN connection capacity on dot. Purchasing excess capacity would result in excess IT spend, and purchasing lesser capacity would result in performance and productivity issues. Hence, Jim needs to monitor the connections for a specific firewall. So let us take a look how Jim does using this firewall analyzer. So under VPN reports, we click on the VPN overview report, and under overview, for an example, you have selected the specific firewall, let's say FortiGate one, or okay, all devices. And you can see that maximum number of active sessions for your firewalls. And currently the maximum active sessions is 9. And let's say you had planned only for a specific maximum connection around 5, then it becomes a problem. So since at a single time there are going to be around 9 people who are going to be active, and this becomes an issue. So this report can be used clearly to identify what or how many connections you need to optimally have in your infrastructure to make that you have a seamless VPN experience. The next task allocated to Jim is to identify the failed VPN login attempts. In Jim's company, a lot of employees are complaining that they did not log in as they were unable to do so. And hence, Jim has been asked to proactively reach out and fix failed logins, since this will not only increase the productivity but also help identify spurious login attempts. Given that people are working from home now, you don't know if your Wi-Fi is compromised and if someone is trying to enter the enterprise network using the VPN. And once again, this is an important thing to keep track of, and that is the failed VPN login attempts. So let us take a look at how this can be done using Firewall Analyzer. So under reports, VPN reports, uh, so we have here the top failed VPN users where there are several hits, which means Jim can proactively approach these users and then immediately fix any login issues or any connection that the specific user has. Now that a lot of employees are accessing via the VPN network, it is important for a device and the bandwidth allocation purposes. It becomes extremely critical that Jim identifies the busiest hour and the leanest hour and plan the VPN infra accordingly. So, say for example, there's going to be a release or there's a product release next week, or let's say every second week of the month, you organize a product release. Eventually, what is going to happen is whenever the release is happening, a lot of people will log into the VPN. Given that you do not understand the trend, there is a very high chance that there will be issues at the customer end or at the employee end, resulting in an impact in productivity. So let us take a look of how Jim gets this report using Firewall Analyzer. So under the reports and VPN reports, let's see, take the VPN trend report. And here you get the daily, weekly, and the yearly reports that clearly identify the trend in the VPN request. In the daily report, you can also check where there are more requests for VPN connection and once again flag the VPN capacity in such a way to support the maximum number of users so that you can scale up accordingly and make sure there is no loss in productivity. So after VPN reports, the next report that we are going to be looking at is the Firewall Analyzer reports, and it can be classified into two, security analytics and the traffic analytics. So in this slide, we'll be covering the security analytics reports, and till date, the employees that have been protected by the Office network, network security devices, and strict compliance to various security mandates. So even if a hacker tried to penetrate the network, a combination of smart security monitoring and the remediation by the IT admin has always protected the enterprise from attacks. With the adoption of work from anywhere, there is no more. Hackers are quickly pounced on the situation as they find remote employees as an easy target and can use them to eventually get their hands on the enterprise data. Hence, it is extremely critical to closely monitor all the security logs. Firewall Analyzer provides a detailed security reports on the following: attack reports and virus reports, top security events and denied events, top spam generators, failed login details, and top denied URLs and their category. So let's take a look how it looks from the product UI. So under report tab, we have the firewall tab. Where you have the security reports. So this is a security report. It has the top denied host, top denied destination, protocols, security events, top blocked URLs, etc. And next we have the virus reports. And with virus reports, we have the top virus sending host, the top virus affected host, the top protocols used by the viruses, and the top viruses by priority. So here we have a list of like viruses here. These are the names. And here we have the top virus files, top virus and status files, and the top virus generator as well. And the next is the attack reports, where we have the top attackers, top targets, top protocols used by attacks, top attacks by priority, top attacks with status, and by unique targets as well. So here you can get these reports mailed or downloaded in a PDF, CSV, or Excel file, and you can generate the reports starting from today, last start, and you can also have the custom option as well. And you also have the event trend reports, where with this you can get an understanding as to what are the security issues or which specific destination or protocol is there an issue and which specific IP and which protocol is used to mount an attack. So you get to know all this information from these security reports. So let's take a look at a use case for the security reports. So for example, there have been a lot of attacks happening in Jim's company, and especially now that there are a lot of remote employees accessing the network, the dangers of security threat increases exponentially. So Jim's company want to know which protocol is being used by the hackers to attack the network. So let us take a look at how Jim identifies this using Firewall Analyzer. Let's take the attack report. So here we have something called the top protocols used by the attackers, and with this you get a clear understanding as to what are the main protocols used by the attackers. And here you can see the multiple attacks that were carried out by using the multiple protocols. Now that we have covered the security reports, next we'll move on to the traffic analytics. So under traffic analytics, we get a detailed traffic usage reports on different protocols, applications, cloud services, internet and intranet. And apart from this, you also get a traffic trend report on traffic and events. Let us take a look how it looks in the product UI. So under firewall report, we have the traffic reports. Here we have the protocol usage, web usage, mail usage, FTP usage, and the internet, intranet, and the traffic trend and the protocol trend. So with these reports, a Jim can easily identify if there are issues with respect to the traffic and if any specific user is hogging up bandwidth. And you can find that from the traffic report, top users, the sent and the received, are generated. And here you can see that one of the specific user or one specific IP has been using too much of data. And you can also click on the specific user to understand in-depth analysis of the usage from this report. So here, as you can see, these are the top users that includes the sent and the receives. And here it provides information about the top authenticated users of bandwidth. So let's take, for example, a 30 days report. So here you can see all the users with the number of hits, the percentage of hits, and the total bandwidth consumed, and the total percentage of the bandwidth consumed. Dashboard and inventory. The dashboard is an aggregated report which provides the following. It gives a firewall overview report, which is nothing but a high level overview of the firewall traffic statistics, security statistics, and the system performance as well. We also get a live traffic report where you get the live traffic data through individual firewalls, a VPN report which provides the active VPN user list and the VPN usage details, and we also get access to the users, rules in the cloud services, where you get an overview of all the rules in the firewall, users, cloud services accessed by the users. And the inventory report, on the other hand, is an individual device based report which gives a status on devices where each firewall device configured in the firewall analyzer. Interfaces includes all the interfaces connected to the configured firewall devices. Users have the details about who generated traffic via the configured firewall device. And the cloud services has the details which have been used via the firewall device. And lastly, the rules that is triggered in the firewall. So let us take a look at how the report looks in the UI. So in the firewall UI, let's go to the dashboard. So first in the dashboard, you can see the overview reports where it has the device list, it has the firewall security statistics, firewall traffic statistics, the top number of hosts by traffic, applications by traffic, etc. So here we have the firewall summary, where it's a high level overview of all the traffic and the security statistics. And next is the system performance, which provides an overview of the CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk space monitor, logs per second, database connection count, and the thread count. And here we have the live traffic, where you get the live traffic data through individual firewalls. And next is the cloud control, which provides the information on usage statistics for various cloud platforms, which includes the file sharing services, social media services, business services, cloud applications, and other cloud services as well. Next, we have the VPN reports, which provides the active VPN user list and the VPN usage details. And we have the user report, rule management, security, standards, etc. And under inventory, we have the devices that includes each firewall device configured in the firewall analyzer, interfaces where all the interfaces connected to the configured firewall devices, users have the details about who generated traffic via the configured firewall device, cloud services include the details of which has been used via the free firewall device, and the used rules are the rules that have been triggered in the specific firewall device. So let's take a look at our use case. So in Jim's company, a lot of attacks have taken place using a single firewall. So he has been asked to investigate everything about the attacks from that single firewall. So let's take a look at how Jim identifies using this firewall analyzer. So under the inventory tab, let's take this device FortiGate 1. Say, for example, the attack is coming from a FortiGate device. We can explore more and more, and we can get a detailed information about the live traffic status, the sites that have been active, the applications that have been used, the rules that have been triggered, and finally, we get a report on the security details as well. So as you can see, you'll get a list of the top attacks with status, top virus with status, denied host, and the top denied destinations, along with the top spam generators and denied user logins. So with this, Jim can understand where an attack has originated from and which specific device or which specific IP has an issue. Jim gets access to all this information using the inventory reports. Firewall Analyzer is also capable of analyzing the syslogs from a script proxy server and is capable of generating the following reports: URL report, top talkers report, website details report, proxy usage report. Let us take a look how these reports look in the product UI. So under the reports tab, let's click on proxy reports. So let's keep the timeline as 30 days. And here we see Firewall analyzing post, fetching the data, and will generate the reports for any squid proxy server that you have fetched the log for. And here you have the URL report, contains the top allowed URLs, the proxy usage report that has the cache usage, cache code, the proxy usage and the peer status that shows the proxy peer status based on bandwidth usage, and the proxy usage HTTP status code that are shown in the HTTP code usage and the HTTP operation, etc. And we also have the website details where we have the top website, top domains, denied requests, and the proxy virus requests as well. And we also have the top talkers. We have the LAN host, LAN users, and the top WAN users. And we also have the top users that includes both LAN and WAN. And this is how a proxy report is generated in Firewall Analyzer. So let's take a use case. Jim has been assigned a task to find if there have been any proxy virus attacks in the system, and if so, they want to find the source of these attacks. So let us take a look how Jim identifies proxy virus attack using Firewall Analyzer. So under proxy reports, under proxy reports, let's click on the website details, where you have a separate report called the proxy virus report. So here, if you see this report, you get a detailed information of all the proxy virus attacks that has happened, and you also get a details as to which host and the count and the hit percentage as well. So these are the virus attacks, and these are the hosts that have been affected, the counts, the number of times it has been affected, and the hit percentage as well. So once Jim sees this, he can block the host and quarantine the specific destination and make sure that such attacks doesn't happen in the future. So Firewall Analyzer also presents Jim with the option to view country-wise specific traffic. So under reports, we have the option of country reports. With this, he can understand the traffic that is passing through his organization's firewall device. This gives him the country of traffic origin and destination, and you can click on that country and you can drill down to get more information. So, for example, I clicked here the China, and here you can see the top allowed transaction done by China. So you can see the host, the destination country, the users that are accessing, and the protocol that have been using, and the hits, and the total bandwidth consumed. So this is how a country report is generated. And moving further. So if predefined reports doesn't fit your needs, then customized reports will help you satisfy your requirements. Jim has asked to identify which users have logged in via VPN and have also been specific information, conditions, and filters to add and remove certain number of teams from this report. So let us take a look how Jim can send a custom report by using Firewall Analyzer. So under report, you have something called custom report where you create a report profile. So you provide a profile name. So for example, let's say giving a profile name of ABC. So you can select the devices or you can even modify the device selection. And I apply a filter here. And to add a filter, so you can apply a filter name here with, for example, AAA, and you can include the filter type with exclude filter. And you can just exclude the following protocols, or you can just like exclude the following IP or host. So here I'm just selecting IP range. So here I'm giving an IP range, and the end IP will be just like this, and I click on add. So this IP range is added here. And you can, if you want, you can also exclude the following destinations, events, and users, and the protocols as well. So I click on OK, and now a filter has been added. So here I selected the exclude filter option because if you want to generate logs for one specific IP, you can include the include filter. But to add to those specific, just if you want to exclude people, for example, a C-level managers, you can use the exclude filter option to make sure that you exclude such people and generate the report. Now you can define the type of report that you want to generate. So you can click the type of reports here. So you can click the traffic reports, etc., web usage report, or you can also customize your report. So here you give a report name and a report name based on any protocol, URL, event, VPN, etc. So I'm giving a report based on VPN, and you can define the type of graph you want the display. So here I have given the graph and table, and you can click on the table settings as well. So you can just click on users and destination, and you click on OK. So now your report has added here. So your custom report has been added here, and you can click on schedule the report. It can be either enable or disable the report, and how you want the report type to be generated. It can be through PDF, CSV, or XLS file, the number of rows for the table, and you can specify the time of when you want the report to be generated based on hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or once in a month. And you can also customize it, and you can generate report for previous hour or the last 60 minutes as well. And you can set the how you want the report to be generated, and you can set your mail configurations here using a mail ID with the subject and how you want the body of the email to be, and you can click save. So now Jim can clearly define who needs to include for generating the report and how the report needs to look and what goes in the x-axis and the y-axis of the reports. So if I click save, so here there'll be a report generated. And next, moving on, we have the search report. So using this report, you can perform a basic forensic analysis for a certain period of time using the log. So there are two types of searches. So one is the aggregated log search, where it provides information based on specific criteria. over a period of time sends the aggregated logs. And we also have the raw search where it provides forensic log analysis from multiple activities. And here we have the raw VPN logs, raw denied logs, raw virus attack logs, traffic logs, raw device management logs as well. So let us look at a use case for aggregated search. Say that a single user named Tom is hogging all the bandwidth and Jim has asked to generate a report on exactly how much that user is consuming and the various other details about that one single user. Um, we'll take that example here in Firewall Analyzer. So under search, you click on aggregated search, where let's say the user is Tom. So you click on the FortiGate device, you click on the criteria, the protocol of it, and this, and you click on Tom. So you give a name here, and you click on generate. And once you click on generate, this is how the search report looks like. So here you have the admin reports, spam detail, host traffic details, server traffic details, event summary reports, URL details, etc. So Jim has the ability to track a specific user by using Firewall Analyzer. So we also have one more use case where Jim has been asked to identify all the virus attacks in the network. So let us take a use case for raw search. So there have been a lot of attacks on Jim's network, and now that a lot of employees are working from home, the network is especially vulnerable to attacks. Hence, Jim has asked to identify all the virus attacks in the system. So let us take a look how Jim identifies this using the Firewall Analyzer's raw search. So under search, we have raw search where you need to select the type of firewall log. So I'm just going to select the virus attack log. And I'm going to say the virus. So you uncheck all these things and you're going to select the raw virus attack logs. And here you're going to say the virus isn't not. So once you hit generate, you get a list of all the virus attacks that has happened in the network, and also you get a drill down of the raw logs of the specific log that was responsible for these attacks. So here you see the raw logs here. So after figuring out where the issue is, if you want to mine and check the issue, you can do that using raw search, and hence it's very useful for forensic log. So we have come to the final section of this webinar, setting alarm notifications with alarm management. So setting alarm notification is a very useful way to identify which security threats have happened and in real time. So we can set the three types of alarm profiles in Firewall Analyzer, where we have normal alerts, in which is a real-time alert for a specific activity, anomaly alert, which is usually used when you want to notify about an event or over a period of time. Threshold alerts is an alert where you cross a specific bandwidth threshold. And all these alarms can be seen in alarm section in the product UI. And these alerts can be notified directly to the mail, where we need to configure the mail server for sending alerts to your mail. You can phone as an SMS, where you need to configure the SMS service for sending alerts to your phone as a SMS, or run a script where you need to create an executable program file, and setting the alarm profile, you can upload the script file. So let's take a look how to set the same thing using the product UI. So under alarm tab, so as I said, the alarm has been triggered and will be shown in the alarm UI. And apart from this, in case you have configured your email or your phone number, you will get an alert directly to your email or phone. So let's take a look at a use case for alarm management. As I mentioned before, the company is following a hybrid network. As a result, a significant portion of the employees are working from home, and the network is especially vulnerable to attacks. And they found that there have been a lot of ARP attacks happening. The company wants Jim to identify ARP attacks at the very inception. Hence, he has been asked to set an alarm notification when 5 ARP attacks happen within 10 minutes of time. So let's take a look at how Jim sets his alarm using Firewall Analyzer. So under settings, you click on others tab, we have the alarm profiles. So to add, this is a specific alarm and we need to generate and we need to create an alarm profile. So here you create add where you profile name as ARP and you click on custom and you want the profile type as normal alert or like virus or anomaly or bandwidth alert. And you can create the threshold details where it's critical alert for every 10 or 15 minutes, and you can assign its owner and apply threshold to all selected device or any particular selected device, and you can enable notification using a value. Or let's see, for example, let's choose a web alarm. And here we can choose a value as a web ALM. And so if any ARP attacks happens, you can create an alarm profile here. So you can configure this as well. We have come to the one final use case of the day. So it has been noted that a specific user has been clogging to a major part of the bandwidth, and now that the VPN bandwidth availability is constrained due to the limited availability and more remote employees using it. So hence, a Jim has been assigned to task to trigger alarm notification if John uses more than 1 GB in an hour. So since this is an alert over a period of time, we would use the anomaly alert. So let us take a look at how Jim sets his alarm using the Firewall Analyzer. So under settings, others tab, we click on add alarm profile. You give a name. So let's say church and the profile type as anomaly alert, and the user is uh, is John. So here under user section, you can click John, and the application that he is using is VPN. And you can select the threshold as 1 GB. And you can create an alert with priority and enable the notification where you select web alarm and click on save. So you can click on save and this new alarm has been generated. So anytime John uses 1 GB of data using VPN, you'll get an alarm. So now that we have shown the VPN monitoring capabilities of Firewall Analyzer, if you would like to know how the same can be implemented in your network environment, please sign up for a personalized demo. Also, please fill the survey and provide the rating for this presentation. And the rating is in the scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. To summarize, Firewall Analyzer is a policy and configuration monitoring tool, and it helps us identify policy anomalies, unused rules, objects, and it also helps to perform in-depth rule impact analysis for a proposed new rule. It also helps in optimizing the firewall performance, and it provides out-of-the-box complaints reports such as SANS, PCI DSS, NIST, ISO, NERC. So these points were covered in our previous training held last week. And to summarize this week's presentation, we had the VPN reports that help you plan VPN capacity and bandwidth, a detailed security analytics that helps you to identify the threats, and in-depth traffic analytics that helps in user monitoring, and search reports which help you perform forensic log analysis. And with Firewall Analyzer, you can set up real-time alarm notifications with your email and SMS, and thereby it helps you proactively identify and prevent security events. Finally, Firewall Analyzer supports all major firewall devices. You can share your experience on Capterra if you're a user of Firewall Analyzer and get a $25 gift card. And if you want to know more on how to get best of your VPN, also secure your network for a remote work environment, we have a lot of educative articles and ebooks which can help you on these topics. All the collaterals will be shared with you in a mailer post the session. So we have recently launched this mobile app for Firewall Analyzer customers. So this application is available for both Android and Apple devices on the corresponding app store. The only prerequisite is that you have the working Firewall Analyzer setup running in your computer. So please feel free to download and check out the app. So with respect to customer security and customer data security, we from ManageEngine can assure you that we take our customer security and customer data as priority, and we make sure that it is protected at all costs. So thank you for joining us today. I hope this was a useful training session. So in case you want a more detailed explanation of the product, you can request for a personalized demo. Thank you.